Socotra is the collective name for a small tropical archipelago in the Indian Ocean, 400 kilometers south of the Yemeni coast. This group of remote islands has only recently been rediscovered by the outside world.
عندما نتحدث عن سقطرى فإننا نتحدث عن جزيرة تمتلك قدر كبير من الخصوصية ومن الجمال وحتى الغموض المثير للدهشة والمثير أيضا للبحث والغوص والتناول الواسع لمكونات الجزيرة المختلفة.
Very little was known over the last decades what was going on Socotra. So in the mid-90s, the first studies started again, revealing enormous biodiversity on this island. Socotra is, as we know now, one of the 10 most important oceanic islands in terms of number of plants and animals only occurring on Socotra.
Of the island's 825 species of flowering plants and ferns, 37% are endemic and cannot be found anywhere else in the world. The terrestrial and freshwater fauna also exhibit a high level of endemism. In some groups, endemism exceeds 90%. Regarding birds, with the exception of the Yemeni highlands, Socotra has the highest level of endemism in the Middle East.
We had here more than 195 of birds recorded until now. 8 of them it's endemic in this island. And also there is more than 9 endemic subspecies of birds in the island.
We often make a comparison of Socotra with other oceanic islands where there's a lot of endemism, high numbers of plants and animals that only occur in that specific location. But there's one single thing that singles Socotra out from all these other oceanic islands, and that's that mankind is here for already a very, very long time. We don't know exactly how long, but at least 2, 3, maybe even 4,000 years. This location, with all the prints you see here, very much testifies this long presence of people. There are other sites on the island as well that testify the long presence of people. There's a cave in the northeastern part of the island that is where people from what is presently Pakistan and India came 1700 years ago.
Today, the Socotra Archipelago is home to some 43,000 people. Many of the inhabitants are semi-nomadic pastoralists or herders who live by raising livestock. Goats, sheep and cattle are an extremely valuable source of food and income, and also the main measure of wealth and status. Date palms are also a measure of wealth, and for many, their cultivation is an integral part of life. For generations, those who lived on the coast relied on the sea for their subsistence. Ottoman Taleb, a local fisherman, tells us about their former way of life.
جبنا قوارب هواري صاحب المقدف زمان الأول نروح فيها لما هناك نطرح فيها نجيب فيها سمك نجيب فيها لخام نجيب فيها جماع الشيء كل شحنات مكودات شحنات ونخليهم في البر بعدين نرسلها سواحل معانا سواحل أفريقيا هنا وجيبوا لنا طعام من هناك مقديره جيبوا لنا مقديره والحمد لله الخير كبير الحمد لله الناس طبيعية وهادية وكل شيء ومرتاحة، ما شي ضيق ولا شيء أزعج.
The local people belong to more than 100 different tribes and speak a distinct, rich and sophisticated language, Socotri, though Arabic is commonly used in the main towns and villages along the coast. The Socotri language is characterized by a rich poetic culture. Poems are sung to communicate and reinforce ideas related to everyday life.
حارهم عيشن المنحاشر المنطود على عاشر زمان علي بجابهن وعد جناس لعيتشن برا الحجرة حراتا عاد حط كيلي تهدن قيدم عيشن من الجوفن قير بالحظ من الديوزن وتان البحش طيبة بين والمزرعة قينم جن ديفان أصبح وجيري في ديفان تترين مجان.
Socotra is one of the few places in the world where conservation started at a very early stage. In 1997, the Yemeni government declared the islands a special natural area requiring protection, and the Socotra Conservation and Development Programme was founded. The island's conservation zoning plan was endorsed by presidential decree in the year 2000. The zoning plan divided the islands into 4 management zones: nature sanctuaries, national park areas, resource use reserves, and a general use zone where more intensive human activity is allowed. One of the major achievements of the last decade has been involving the local people. The program now employs a staff of 50 to 60 Socotrans and Yemenis who are able to manage the program and deal with a wide range of complex issues on a daily basis with only limited help from the outside world. Despite all conservation efforts, the Socotra Archipelago faces many challenges in achieving ecological, cultural, and economic sustainability. One of the biggest challenges it faces is unplanned or inappropriate development.
When in 1990 Yemen was unified, Socotra became all of a sudden part of the outside world. In 2000 also the airport was opened, road construction started on the island, quite a number of people come in from the mainland. The number of tourists has increased. Compared to the 90s, there is much more pressure now on the environment.
Improved accessibility has attracted outside investors, some with little understanding or respect for the island's natural and cultural heritage.
Many business people jump to this island and to work here without any plan, without any future idea about the environment.
Though improved accessibility has increased the number of visitors and made regular deliveries from the mainland possible, these advantages also increase the risk of importing alien species and diseases. This could bring devastation to the island's flora and fauna, as well as the livestock on which many Socotran families still depend.
Yemen government is doing its best to conserve the island, but it needs help. There are many examples of the commitment of Yemen for conservation of Socotra. One of them is the issue of road. The road to Kalansia was planned to go through the Datwah protected area because it's the easiest and shortest way. When we raised the issue to the road authority, they were resistant to change the road, and they continue to build it toward the protected area. So we raised the issue to the president, and the president sent a committee, and then he came by himself to the island and decided that we were right, and he diverted the road at a very great cost to the government of Yemen. So this shows that the government of Yemen politically is committed for the conservation of Socotra. But this also needs to be communicated to the middle management, and also we need coordination, because even people with goodwill, they can do bad damage by not coordinating and communicating what they are doing.
One of the biggest challenges is to use Socotra's resources in a sustainable way.
We had a problem with collection of coral stone from the beaches of Socotra. Most of the goods that comes to Socotra comes from Arab Emirates. So many small ships or dhows come to Socotra to bring goods. And instead of going back to Arab Emirates empty, they were taking coral stone as cargo and ballast also to balance the boats and sell it there for Sharjah to build its old town. This, we discovered, was creating a threat to coastal lines in Socotra and maybe also for live coral, because people start to dig live coral so they can sell it. We contacted the authorities in Sharjah and we asked them to stop buying the coral stone. But also we had a directive from the government of Yemen banning the exportation of coral stone. This creates problems, of course, because the people who were benefiting from the coral stone are angry and they are very poor. So we had set up a program to compensate them. We have many people who come because of the resource of limestone in the island. Most of the island is limestone. They think that they can build a cement factory or they can have a big quarries for marble. And this creates some resentment because we told them that this island is too precious to be developed in this way. Socotra Island is more important for its biodiversity than anything else. Another challenge that Socotra Island is facing is the livestock issue, especially goats. Of course, livestock, goats and sheep and cattle have existed for thousands of years in the island. But through the ages, Socotri people have been able to create a management system for their livestock to guarantee a balance between the range, plants, and the livestock. The challenge now is because of the changes in the economy and the society of Socotra, that this ancient system is breaking down. And this might create a big problem for livestock management and effect of livestock in the plants and trees of Socotra.
We see that essentially there's no regeneration. There are no young trees on most of the island. It's only in the upper mountains that you see this regeneration, plus on some very steep hills, on cliffs, where you see it. Now, it's not very clear why this regeneration doesn't take place, but it is rather sure that grazing of livestock plus the effect of climate change plays a major role. What we are doing and what we're trying to figure out is what are the measurements we can take? How can we change it? How can we make sure there are new trees for the future? So we're trying, experimenting with closing off areas against goats. Now that has shown over the last few years to be not very successful. Other measures that are taken is propagating some of these trees and replanting them.
In October 1996, the Socotra Botanical Garden for Rare and Endemic Plants was established. Its nursery's mission is to grow plants endemic to Socotra in order to study their germination and replenish the natural population.
نحن الآن في مشتل الأديب عبد الله حديد في جزيرة سقطرى في منطقة إشال هنيتين. لما أتت مشروع البيئة بالحفاظ على النباتات يرشد نحن إلى أن نجيب العقال والبذور الأشجار التي بدت بتهديد الانقراض من الجبل ونزرعها في المشتل ونحافظ عليها. ويوجد معنا في المشتل حوالي 85 نوع من الأشجار المتنوعة في جزيرة سقطرى. هذا الشتلة دم الأخوين. لم توجد نوع الشتلة إلا في المشتل. ودم الأخوين موجود معانا في المشتل 10,000 شتلة يحافظ عليها حماية البيئة ويعيدها ويعيد زراعتها إلى المنطقة اسمها فرمهين في ديكسم.
The forest in Dixum is the last dragon blood woodland. There is nowhere else in the world where one can find dragon blood trees in such densities as growing here. Some studies have predicted that by 2080, the area they occupy will be reduced by 50%.
We cannot wait until this happens. So we are trying to mitigate this possible effect through engaging with some services with the nomadic people of Socotra, helping them in creating more income from their livestock, but also guaranteeing that the livestock number and its management will not damage the environment. So regarding livestock, what we are trying to do is to encourage Bedouin to organize in an association to defend their interest, but also to self-regulate. Organizing the Bedouins, we start with small meetings to explain to them how we can help them regarding parasites. Through helping them treat the parasites, we gain their confidence and trust, but also we encourage them to organize themselves and regulate themselves in the future. Regulating the number of the livestock and the structure of the herd is only going to happen through self-regulation. No government or outside agency can do that. What we can do is monitor the changes, and then maybe we can come in with regulation or bylaws to help ensure that the number of livestock will be regulated. Another issue that we want to develop and put regulation and rules is to use the biodiversity itself. Socotra Island has more than 306 endemic species. Some of them are very attractive. Some of them can be ornamentals, can be beautiful trees in the streets of the world. What we need is to develop a system that the Socotri can grow the plants and sell them, but guarantee the rights of the Yemen for any future benefit from these plants. It's a difficult issue because for the last maybe 15 years, we have been teaching people to protect these plants and prevent their importation because they are unique and they are irreplaceable. In the past, in the ancient time, these plants have been a major economic resource for the islanders. Like the dragon blood tree, the resin from the dragon blood tree has been exported to China and India and Europe in the past. Now, nobody wants this resin. Maybe we can revive some demand for the resin. The same with aloe. Aloe perii, which was renowned for its medical property. Even the legend says that Alexander the Great sent his army to cultivate aloe in the island. Shows that there were great demand for the aloe. And there are signs that most of the island was cultivated by aloe. So we need also to revive this potential income-generating activity for the islanders.
Locals, conservationists and experts are not only worried about conserving the terrestrial biodiversity. The archipelago's diverse marine ecosystems are also threatened. Traditional fishing practices are changing rapidly, with the increasing presence of commercial buyers on board large vessels.
Fishing activities is the main activities in Socotra Island for almost of the people. Not just the people who live in the coastal, but also the people who live in the mountain, they come and they fish in the coast. Lobster, sharks, cucumber, coral reef fish, tuna, kingfish is the commercial fish in Socotra.
Shark fins are a valuable source of cash on the export market, and there is also a great demand for the fish when salted and dried.
The problem of the sharks that we use in the past, they caught small sharks for eating, but the problem is that the buyers, they come from China, from Korea, from Japan, they come and look for fins, and they start cut a lot of sharks just for fins. It's so expensive, it reaches more than $100 for 1 kilo. And the problem is that they just take the fins and they throw the meat in the beach.
These changes have not improved the lives of the local fishermen.
الأرزاق ضعيف ماشي منهم فايدة تطرح شهر كامل ما تحصل عيش يعني قطعة صيد الآن كل شيء قطع، كل شيء يعني راح، كل شيء ما زي الأول. هينت البحر ما عطت شيء من شان كثير الصياد يمشي كذا ويمشي كذا طول النهار كما طال ما يحصل الإنسان لقمته.
One of the main tasks is to find a way of regulating fishing periods and assigning quotas so that the local communities can develop sustainable fisheries, which will be viable today and also in the future. Ecotourism could provide another method of sustainable development.